Alrighty. I am here with Mr. Uncle Luke Broyles, whom I've met, air quote, met virtually. A couple of years ago, we're just kind of falling down the rabbit hole, Bitcoin and crypto, and trying to just seeking truth, basically. And why I started making videos was once I found out even maybe a tenth of what Bitcoin's potential was. I was like, I gotta get the word out here. And then I thought people right away, they'd get as excited as I did, which didn't ultimately end up happening. But then I kind of forgot about you for a little while. And then now you kind of emerged on the scene with a Twitter thread that was very well done, talking about the Roman citizens, how we're have more in common with them than, say, the next generation. But it was very well done. So everybody, welcome Luke Broyles. How you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing all right. It's great to be here. Yep, it's really fun to meet you
Yes,
online. Lots. You've been very kind to me. Very good supporter, and it's just the feedback's great. So both your compliments and your constructive criticism has been wonderful, and
yeah, it's been great to see your emergence with. I don't even know if you had a Twitter before, but you must have went from 0 to, I don't know, like 10,000 a few days, something like that.
Well, not quite that fast, but it was very humbling. It was, genuinely, I thought that no one would care, because I thought that I didn't have anything unique to add. I didn't feel special in any way. But people really liked the way I articulated things. And I think they liked the way I phrased things, because I do phrase things slightly different than other people, I believe. And so even though the idea is very similar, pretty much my entire first thread was just smashing together the ideas of Jeff Booth and Tesla and Ford and Finney and Satoshi and, like half a dozen other, smart minds. I pretty much just smashed it all together.
Well, I'd never seen anybody kind of bring it all together, smash it all together before, but definitely when I was listening about the technology, I said, yeah, there's some Jeff Booth in there for sure. What is your why? Why are you doing this? What are your goals? I know you do kind of have a financial background. Is that right?
A little bit. Mostly self-taught. I've done schooling education for it, but frankly, I've just learned so much more being self-taught. It's ridiculous. So no disrespect to my teachers. But yeah, I'm basically self-taught.
Yeah, because you kind of came in with a renewed passion and fire, kind of. You were always kind of a go-getter,
sure. But... Yeah, I've always cared. I've always cared about helping people. I've always cared about, just doing what I can. I suppose. And with this Twitter thing, it's really hit home in a positive light for me. I don't really want to say too much about that to, not try to put myself in too much of a pedestal, I guess. But it's been, frankly, it's changed my life this last 45 days or so, and I mean that genuinely. I've gotten so many messages from people that say that I've changed their life, or that I've changed their entire worldview, or that I've helped them get their mind out of the gutter of politics, or I've helped them see a new perspective on technology, or help their family members understand new perspective technology. Most of my fans are from the late 20s to mid 40s range, and so a lot of them tell me that their sons and daughters, teenage, young 20s, or their parents, 60s, 70s, 80s, finally understand it because of something I made. And that really does something to you when you get messages from people saying, you helped me so much, or, I did this, did that. I mean, I I don't want to really try to quantify. I've tried before, but frankly, it's kind of pointless because who am I to know? But it's amazing. You get a message to someone, they say, "Hey, I had, you know, $500,000 or 100 grand or 10 grand, some significant amount and this or that, a meme stock or this and I sold it for Bitcoin or I de-risked or I did this, I've helped people with getting their houses and mortgages or investment properties. And I mean, anyway, I'm not trying to say I'm anything special. It's just, frankly, it feels really good to
So you got them
hear.
off zero.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. And truth be told, I really care about it for the developing world because I know that it's going to be that as inflation continues, as debasement continues, and as this Ponzi scheme continues to unwind, the brunt of the economic force is going to be felt in those areas. I mean, we could look at Sri Lanka or Lebanon or plenty of other places, like Argentina that are already kind of undergoing that. And I really care about helping those folks. I've talked to folks from all over the world, India, Indonesia, and places like that. It's very strange because to me they're all like different Twitter handles, or they're all different,
Yeah.
random profile pictures and names, and oftentimes they're not even names; they're just weird memes or whatever. But it's like, sometimes I'll be talking to someone and they're like, "Yeah, I saved up my first $1,000," and they're like, a single dad and um, India or some other place where that's like a lot of money to them and they're really proud of that. And like I'm just so happy for them. And the other people I talk to are, have like $5 million plus in the US and all this real estate and this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, I finally get it. I'm gonna be selling some of my real estate and I gotta think about this more. So it's very surreal, it's very weird, and it's very motivating. I spend too much time doing it to be completely honest, but I know that now's the time. So
Yeah. And they almost have an advantage because they're like in Africa by necessity, they're going to need it. Whereas we're
yeah.
still fairly comfortable over here.
Yeah, definitely. In some ways, they have advantages. In other ways, they don't, because they have the advantage because they have the greater incentive to begin to investigate sooner.
Yeah.
But the disadvantage, obviously, is that when they have economic trouble, they face starvation, war, conflict, and violence much quicker than we do here in the West because we're all spoiled.
Why are you so bearish on Bitcoin, anyways? I meant bullish. I've seen multiple podcasts where they said this is the most bullish one yet. So, what,
Yeah, it's funny because obviously I don't have to tell you, but there's many personalities that pretty much all they do is they make bullish predictions.
yeah,
Typically they also tend to gravitate towards the crypto side of things and
yeah,
they focus too heavily on the crypto securities and not Bitcoin. But the funny thing is that I don't even really make price predictions, or I don't even, say, I just talk about the technology and say, if this happens, then that happens. And
yeah,
I just try to apply logic but anyway, funnily enough, I think when you do that and you stop thinking in terms of what's price going to do, then it becomes even more optimistic, and yeah. So why am I so bearish? Bullish?
bullish,
Yeah,
bullish.
yeah, yeah, bullish. Yeah. Why am I so I mean, I think it's just because it's a function of technology, I guess. I think too many people focus on price and they say, oh, let's justify how it can get to 500,000 a coin or 5 million a coin or whatever. And even if they're not wrong, I think the more exciting thing is to think, instead of thinking out 10, 20, or 30 years, to think out like 300 years.
Yep.
And then when you think of it that way, it really just makes all of this current noise just seem silly because it is just silly. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's basically why. Because I think in a longer term,
Yeah. I watched your video kind of on your YouTube where you talked about just explaining it because I was always trying to think of new ways to kind of explain it to friends, family. What resonated with me was like, then I'm terrible at math, to Mr. Foss, Mr. Math. But when you're talking about basically divide one open system by one closed system, do the math on that. That's kind of that really resonated with me. I was like, well, of course you got your closed system, your 21 million hard cap, and everything else is, I guess, more of a what technology point of view, engineering kind of a.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, that kind of really resonated.
Well, good, good. I'm glad that did. I really, yeah, I started out using that because that's what got the views. But I didn't really think I had anything to add there because Michael Saylor and others like him had just done such a superb job of explaining that
Yeah,
point of view. But I for whatever reason, me explaining that really resonated with people, and I think it makes sense, because it's like once you think of it that way and you realize it as an engineering truth, then it's like, okay, well then you come to your own conclusions about price and it becomes like obvious, kind of like I was just saying before. It's like, I could say Bitcoin's going to $100 million a coin, and most people are like, okay, okay, okay. But if you say what's the price of an airplane that flies in terms of one that doesn't fly? It's like, well, like infinity,
yeah,
obviously, putting the marginal cost of the parts that make the plane aside, it's like the value is infinitely more valuable than the thing that doesn't work. The thing that works is infinitely more valuable than the thing that doesn't work. And
yeah.
it's like pricing a thing that works and something that doesn't work is just a market inefficiency. And that's where we are today. So
That really made sense to me. I have no engineering skills whatsoever. But then I'm like I know some people who are engineers who don't get Bitcoin. I was like, I would think they would understand it like right away, but
yeah, I know engineers too that don't
maybe
think
they
about it,
haven't
don't care. Yeah.
actually
And
looked
that's
into
one
it.
of the things I like about Jason Lowry is that he really emphasizes not thinking of just a coin, but like energy. I think most engineers are trying to view it as first and foremost a monetary system when it's even more basically an energy system. It just happens to be monetary energy.
Yeah, I did watch his the mass adoption where you'll be speaking. I watched it, and not a lot to live up to. I think he did shed some tears, so something to shoot for there for you.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta practice my acting skills with the tears, I guess.
Oh, I don't think he was acting. He was.
Yeah, no, no, no. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
saying he was. No, yeah, I watched it too.
actually,
It was incredible. He really knocked it out of the park there.
yeah, he's almost a little too smart for. I was like, I get about half of it. I think like that's what Foss said, and when he's like, I understood about 20% of that.
Mhm, mhm.
Speaking of which, Foss roughed you up at the border. I heard. Is that any truth to that?
Yeah, yeah. The Foss tried to keep me out of Canada. No. Yeah. So we were talking before we started recording about this a little bit, but for those who don't know the story, I went to visit Greg Foss. Most people watching this probably know who that is. He's one of the, top 20, 30 famous Bitcoiners out there right now. And he was one of the first junk bond traders in Canada and all that. So his expertise is bonds and risk management, especially in fixed income debt markets and all that. But anyway, I went to visit him at an event that he was going to. He invited me out there, and I went through the Canadian border, and I had like a 90-minute. I was detained or not detained. I don't know what the right term is, but they pulled. Yeah, yeah, for about hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half, just over an hour and a half or so. They questioned me and all these questions because I was stupid and gave answers to things I didn't really know. They asked what kind of building I was going to. I got that wrong, and they're like, "Okay, who are you meeting?" Well, I have you met him before? Like, well, no. How'd you meet him? Well, through the internet. He's legit. Yeah, I know he's legit. And so anyway, it was just a lot of people online misunderstood my tweet and thought that I was saying that they were about to send me back because I mentioned Bitcoin, and like that certainly didn't help. But yeah, it was just a misunderstanding. Quite funny actually in hindsight. But yeah, they almost sent me back because they thought that I was in danger and that I was they thought that something bad was going to happen, and so they almost sent me back.
Did they ask if
So
you had any fruit on you?
no, no, they didn't actually. And see, that's part of the problem. That was the first time I've been to Canada many, many years ago, but this is my first time driving over. So it's like I've traveled quite a lot, thankfully, and but it's always been through plane. So I was pulling up to the Canadian border thinking like, okay, 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 I don't have fruit, I don't have alcohol or liquids or guns. I don't have any of that stuff. Okay, we're good. But I wasn't thinking at all about like, you know, they'll wonder where I'm going, who I'm meeting. Yeah, I didn't even think about it because I never ask you that in an airport. So I was, fumbling and I was running late anyway, so I was nervous and it was just funny. But yeah, it definitely felt weird because, I mean, I don't know how many people experience that, but it feels really weird to get pulled aside and have like these two or three officers like going through your entire car and all these questions. They asked for a lot of personal documentation from me. And yeah, it was very strange. But I had to call Greg in the office and like, hey, Greg, can you vouch for me? And so, of course, anyway, they're talking to Greg on the phone. And of course, they're having trouble hearing him. And anyway, it was funny.
No reverence
Quite
for
the
Greg
experience.
Foss. Well, Foss took care of it, I bet.
Yeah, Foss got it straightened out, more or less.
I guess. So we got a little bit more time while we wrap up. One cool other I find cool, anyways, is your Christian faith. And some kind of the parallels in Bitcoin. It seems to be. I don't know if you listened to what was it, the Blue Collar Bitcoin and Troy Cross. They kind of got
I
it.
I've heard of. I'm trying to get on their show actually. I keep getting told by people, you got to go on that show. You got to go on that show because I've been invited to so many shows. I keep saying I have to go on that one. And they haven't had me on yet or accepted me yet. I don't know why, but and anyway,
With Troy Cross.
yeah. But I've heard it's really good, and I've heard that they're Christian. I've had some Twitter conversations with them online about belief and all that, and I don't remember all of their views, but I remember that they were pretty interesting and contradictory to some of mine. But I mean, it was fascinating
Yeah,
nonetheless. So
it was a good discussion. I think that's one thing they were saying. Bitcoin for some people can kind of become like a religion, kind of.
yeah, I do agree with that. I do agree with that. There's some people that really deify it. Um,
Yeah, like
you know,
they were kind of talking about some of the Bitcoin maximalists who are kind of
yeah,
just being dogmatic and not explaining their position, kind of like some, I don't know, some religion. That's kind of the point they were making, like
yeah,
a small percentage, I think.
yeah. But yeah, I am a Christian. It's funny because I have one foot in the real estate world, one foot in the Bitcoin world, and obviously I'm a Christian. So it's to be honest, it's very tiring sometimes. Today's one of those days where I'm just tired because pretty much everyone I ever interact with thinks I have some sort of ulterior motive. Pretty much all the real estate people I work with think that I'm trying to sell them a scam with this Bitcoin thing. And a lot of the Bitcoiners, think that I'm being a scammer because I also do real estate and all that, which is, it's just baffles me because everyone has to have a fiat job right now, or at least
Yeah.
almost all Bitcoiners have some sort of fiat job or fiat income. And there's a lot of Bitcoiners, including Greg Foss, that have a lot of real estate. So anyway, but yeah, a lot of Bitcoiners think that I'm a scammer because I'm into real estate. A lot of real estate people think I'm a scammer because I'm into Bitcoin.
Yeah, I did
And,
see you getting trolled today, I think.
yeah, there were a bit of trolls today. Yeah, there was more today than usual. I don't really know why, but then yeah. Anyway, most people then are like, oh, you should stop talking about Bitcoin and talk more about Jesus. And those are the Christians, and the Bitcoiners like you should stop talking about, or no, yeah. Then the Bitcoiners say you should stop talking about Jesus and you should talk only about Bitcoin or whatever. Vice versa. And it's just funny because I understand. The funny thing is, I understand why everyone has their point of view. I understand why the real estate people think Bitcoin's a scam because they think, it's not tangible and blah, 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 all the tropes and all that. And
Sure.
I understand why the Bitcoiners think I should only talk about it because this is the fight. Money against state, and it's really time sensitive, it's really urgent, and it's like I get it. And then all the Christians like, you should stop talking about Bitcoin and real estate and money. You should stop worshiping money and only talk about Jesus. And it's like, anyway, it's funny for me because it's like I have these three big groups, and all three of them have very valid points. And there are certain individuals in all three of those groups that think I'm completely insane for not being
Yeah.
entirely entrenched and only in and their little camp and world. And so anyway, I mean, thankfully, I have a relatively thick skin. Well, I have a thin skin in some areas, which I won't say, so the trolls don't get to me. But yeah, I generally speaking have a very thick skin, so it doesn't bother me too much. Normally,
Yeah.
it's just interesting how human psychology is similar in all those groups.
It is, yeah. Well, the one thing I've learned is you're never going to make everybody happy,
Yeah, yeah,
Even if you could write the best threads on Twitter, give them free information that somebody will
yeah,
always not be happy, or you're doing
yeah,
it the wrong way.
yeah,
So I think my only advice, just be yourself, just be you. Somebody's
yeah.
gonna be angry.
Appreciate it. That's one of the things I really like about you is that you're just yourself. You have you and your family, and I mean, I'm busy, but I don't have any kids, and you do. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine how busy you are, and yet you still are pretty active on Twitter, and you're always so nice, and you're always complimentary to people, and I don't know, you're just.
I do troll some people online for fun, but
Oh, you do? I've not seen that. Who do you troll?
well, I mean, I'm like a friendly troll.
Oh, okay.
I'm not mean to anybody, I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah, okay, okay.
Just once in a
That's what I
while,
thought. I would have been surprised. Okay.
I'll get pulled into, the political memes, but,
Yeah, and some people really do, and sometimes I make my comments, so I make my views known, but it's just that,
I try to revert back to Jeff Booth's teachings of, you're getting sucked in, this system is broken. You're not going to fix it.
yeah, exactly,
So
exactly.
they want you to be, quarreling, and keep you
Yeah,
distracted kind of.
yeah, yeah. That's one of the things today that struck me as well is that people brought politics in, even though I've never been strictly political. I've tweeted a lot about Joe Biden, but I've also tweeted about Donald Trump and many other presidents too, and talked about them all in podcasts. Again, like you're saying, I reference them in relation to the larger system, not them politically. And people, yeah, it's very strange how people get so heated on a one thing and they forget to take everything else in context. And so anyway, yeah, I've just learned not to engage in them. I try to only engage with those that, I think are moral questions, I guess, and less political ones. But I don't know. Maybe I'll adjust my criteria, or maybe I'll just give up.
Yeah. So, I don't know how many Twitter followers you have now, but if there's like, say 100 people, how many of them are trolls, would you say? And how many of them are,
Oh, I don't have very many. I think I probably only have about a dozen trolls that troll me on a regular basis. But I mean, they don't bother me so much. But yeah, I mean, obviously, people that follow me, almost all of them are supportive. So I mean, I don't want to give a negative picture here for those listening. It's like for every negative comment or every point of negativity, there's like 30 to 50x more just positivity. And like I was saying earlier, it's just there are a few trolls. There's so many people that are generally positive, and then there's a narrow slice of people that just send um, messages or things that just really mean something, and that really does something.
absolutely. And that's probably just human nature. You could have 100 compliments and you'll remember the guy who's nasty to you.
Yeah,
And that's the internet. It could be anybody. It could be a teenager in his mom's basement. But
yeah,
alrighty, I got the warning. I got a few minutes left.
great.
Because I'm a cheap bastard and I just do the free Zoom one. And
Yeah. No, you gotta stack more stats.
another
So
person I met virtually, he
yeah.
edits videos if I ever need. So it's kind of cool. Any like last messages, last words for people that could be life, Bitcoin, anything.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess just enjoy it. When we started before we were recording, when we started talking here, I was telling him that because he was saying that we didn't have to do this if I was too busy or whatever. And like I said to you, I said that like this is fun for me. I enjoy talking to people online and in real life, and meet people. So I guess for me, that's been the most rewarding thing of this fame and Twitter and all that. It's just it's so cool to meet people and tweet with people and talk to people, exchange ideas with people. I was doing that earlier today. Go to these meetups. I mean, and just be here, talk to you. Yeah, I think just in general, people should remember that, folks online are folks, they're real people. At least right now, maybe in a few years, they'll all be AI robots. But yeah, it's like, yeah, life is short and we should enjoy it. And kind of like you do, we should troll people in a nice way and
A
give them
friendly troll,
compliments.
yeah.
Yes, friendly troll. Be a friendly neighborhood troll.
I
So
try to remember it's an algorithm, so they're going to try to irritate you, so you respond and more engagement. But now we're trying out Noster, right?
yeah, I gotta figure that out. I watched you sent me a tutorial earlier, and I looked up a couple of tutorials of my own, and I think I get it pretty well. I just got to do it, and
Yeah, you just
frankly,
download the Damus app is like
yeah, yeah,
and then it gives you a wallet key, your public and private key.
yeah. It seems very simple. It's much less complex than I thought it would be. For whatever reason, I thought it'd be more complex. But yeah, honestly, a big part of it is just figuring out my time because I'm so busy with Twitter and the podcast. It's like, I gotta choose.
Yeah.
Twitter, podcast, the rest of my life, and Nostr. It's like, you
Yeah.
know. So anyway, I gotta that's a me thing. I gotta figure that out. But yeah, that goes back to the idea. Life is short. So
Yeah. Well, you're doing awesome. You're young, you're got a good work ethic, full of energy, working towards making the world a better place. I think however you figure it out, you're doing just fine.
thank you.
Do you have to work a fiat job and all that?
Well, yeah, real estate's kind of my fiat thing. Right now, I don't talk about it too much on Twitter because again, people don't like it when I do. So
They're
that's
more,
why.
they don't want to hear your
But
real estate thoughts. They want to hear your big.
yeah, I know. But I mean, it's really not that. I don't think it's that controversial. It's just the basic idea that mortgages, fixed rate mortgages, will trend down against real estate forever, and real estate will trend down against Bitcoin forever. And as long as, I mean, the math can work, you know, um, stocks are, for me, stocks and bonds and cash are much harder to justify. But real estate at least works. But at least for me, in my situation where I am in life, it works. For a lot of people, it may not work. But anyway, yeah, that's primarily what I do right now. But honestly, I hope that this online personality and Twitter thing picks up. I'd love to do this full time, talk to people, if I can find a way to monetize it. But then
Yeah.
again, we get back to the haters. I don't want to take advantage of people, and I don't want to, be, I just don't want to put fuel on that fire because that fire is always going to be there smoldering, and I don't want to feed it any more than I have to. So anyway, it's delicate balance, figuring that out of how to provide value and eat at the same time.
Yeah, it's another weird thing. Everybody thinks you do it just for free. Well, guys gotta eat,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
gotta get on Nostr, then maybe they'll send you, I think they call it zaps.
Yeah. Then they can send me the zaps.
They
Yeah.
you put your lightning wallet on there and then they can zap you with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds really cool. I got to give it a try. So
I'm surprised Twitter hasn't done it yet, but
yeah, well, they got a whole bunch of other problems to figure
yeah,
out,
that's true.
like bots. That's the other thing. I keep you include. I keep getting messages of people like, "Oh, you got to get rid of these bots. What are you doing?" And it's like, I don't know how to get rid of them. I keep telling people
Oh,
like block them, report them, and they just keep coming. They're
that's
like
all you can
altcoins.
do.
They just keep coming out of nowhere. You're like, where are these all coming from?
They're multiplying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they just had their investor day and they're working on,
Oh, Tesla.
yeah,
Yeah. I skimmed it.
having having the bots do all the human work.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll have like a bot for every human on Earth.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but
Yeah, and that's what's fascinating. That goes. I don't know if we have time left or not, but that's one of the fascinating things. With my first thread, one of the things I said was that we have less in common with the future than we do with the past. And like that's one of those thoughts. It's like, what if in the future, say 100 years from now, there's one humanoid robot per human on Earth? Or what if there's even one robot per 10 humans on Earth? What if there's three robots per human? I mean, it's like theoretically it's possible. We could have the energy to do that. We could have the AI to do that, and we could have the materials to do that. I don't see why that would be impossible. And so like that's really weird. That's really
Yeah.
weird. And on one hand, it makes me want to buy Tesla stock because what if they do that? But on the other hand, it's like, but Bitcoin is the money that absorbs all prosperity gains of all technology and all companies. And so it's like, that's kind of the cool thing about Bitcoin is that no matter which company figures it out, no matter which billionaire figures it out, the prosperity gains and value addition to society eventually will flow from their brains and their companies and their
Right.
stock price eventually back into the global monetary stock. So anyway, it's just fascinating to think about.
Plus, they own Bitcoin anyways, I think. I know
Yeah, a
that,
little bit.
but it's kind of just a proxy for it's like, might as well just own Bitcoin. But I
Yep.
don't. People like to trade and stuff, do all that.
Yeah, I don't like trade. It's too much work. I don't have the brain power.
It is definitely like a full-time job if you're like a professional. It's like
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for the invite. Thanks for the time. It's fun. It's nice to meet you, my friendly neighborhood troll. I hope to see you around. Maybe we'll talk in person. Maybe meet in person someday. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
If you're ever going to one of the conferences, let me know. I'd love to meet you.
How did
But
Foss smell? That's what I want to know. Did he have a nice cologne on?
you, fine. I didn't really notice.
Um,
Yeah,
uh,
but he's the exact same in real life as he is on video.
I'm sure
It's
he's
quite funny. Yeah, but
always
I didn't notice any smell. So yeah.
just a
Well,
little
thank you.
booze.
I appreciate it. Best wishes. I
Yeah.
hope this was insightful and entertaining to people.
Yeah, you've been
Um,
getting tagged a lot, so I'll see you on Twitter, and I'll have my friend edit this, and I'll put it up and can post it, do all that good stuff.
Great.
All right, man. Thanks for meeting with me. We'll talk again.